library travelers to Recorder on the Wall, where we're reviewing these book things. I'm Pete.
Oh my god, we review Redwall books. I totally forgot about that. I'm Jeremy.
There you
go. and I'm Katie. And oh wait, I made that sound like there wasn't another person, but there actually is another person.
I'm fine. I'm just gonna go sit here in the corner. I'm gonna read.
Sorry, Matthias.
I'm madder.
it has been a while since we've been at one of the Redwall books. When did Salamandra episodes?
Way too long ago.
I don't actually remember.
Before summer break.
Jeez.
Summer break.
Oh wow. So yes, it has been quite some time.
It has been.
It was June.
Episodes.
June 10th. June 10th is when the last Redwall book came out. So yeah, it was nice to pick this up again. Let me put it that first way. And we're finally to Pearls of Lutra, which multiple people have told me in our fan interactions that yes, this is one of their favorites. And you know what?
It is a good one.
Yeah, I'd agree. We're only covering this first portion, but yeah, this is kind of fun.
I just have to bring up, Pete, that you did mention at some point that this was your least favorite.
I did.
You did.
I don't remember why.
However, after rereading Outcast, I'm assuming that changed.
Maybe it's. I know maybe it's something to do with the ending, which we'll get to another day.
Yeah.
Maybe it's. This is where the riddles really start coming hard. But
yeah,
there is still rationale for these riddles, so that's good. There's a book to come that I don't even remember which one at this point, but starts trying to give lessons on what a proper abbot or abbess should learn, and I'm like, that was my breaking point.
That was Tagarung.
Okay, well, There you go. That's where I left the series after that book. But this is still in the books where I was reading it when these came out. Speaking of which, Pearls of Lutra was published in 1996, before Jeremy and I came on board with the series, and probably most of us. Chronologically speaking, this is the 11th book.
96? That
96.
Doesn't sound right. I remember waiting for this to come out. I had already found the series.
Well, I didn't find it till 7th grade. It would have been 97 for me. So maybe you got it earlier than I did.
Oh, I think the hardback came out in 96.
Yes.
And the paperback came out in 97.
That makes sense.
Yeah, the hardbacks always came out first.
Yeah, so I remember waiting for because I had found Martin the Warrior in 96 and read through everything and then got to Outcast and then waited like impatiently for this one to come out in paperback because I wanted them in paperback.
So I have two random fun facts about this book. Sorry, were you done?
Oh yeah, no, I'm done.
Okay. So fun fact the first, which is fun to say also. But there is no full cast audiobook for this one, but there is an abridged one. And the only one that doesn't have any sort of audiobook is Rogue Crew, which that's fine. It doesn't need one. Sorry, Rogue Crew fans. And then fun fact the second is that Brian Jakes, I was reading, I think it was in the front of the Braille copy I have that is electronic Braille, but it was saying that he was looking for a name to name this holt of otters, and then he actually just looked up the Latin word for otter and used that. So
yeah.
I thought
that explains a heck of a lot.
It's the genus of otters. There are 7 families of Lutrinae.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Well, no, I recently read in the last year a 2-book series called Barsk, The Elephant's Graveyard, and the sequel Moons of Barsk, which is, you could argue, is Redwall-esque, except it's in space. And it follows elephants, but they do have a myriad of other species, and they call otters looters, and are a word based close to that. And I was trying to figure out why in the world would that be the commonplace name for an otter. So that makes a lot more sense now.
So now that we told you, you ought to know.
Wah, wah, wah.
Add to the
rudder way to start this off.
So we are still in the series of basically books that have a combined storyline. One of the things we'll start noticing as we start going forward is that the books start separating themselves, where very few characters cross over.
Yep.
Like, there's very few direct sequels, if at all, at this point after this.
So we get this cast of characters going through Long Patrol, which has at least one carryover
Fresno.
character to Marl Fox, and that same character carries over to Tagarong, and then after Tagarong is where it just starts jumping around.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Yeah.
I forgot
This is
about
actually part of the biggest chain goes Redwall, Matameo, Pearls, Long Patrol, Marl Fox, Tagarong.
Tagarong. Yep.
And that's it.
They all just link together, and it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Well, we're not counting the opening prologue and epilogue of Lord Brocktree there, but that's part of it too, arguably.
And
So-
I like a lot of the stuff in this one that references the characters and events from previous books. Like, we have 2 carryover characters, 3 technically if you count Martin, because he wasn't mentioned
Barely.
at the end of Matameo. But like they bring up like Ambrose Spike and Tim Churchmouse and people like
Basil
that.
Daghair.
Yeah, it's nice to have like this this direct continuity between these books. And that's something, I think that was one of the reasons why I actually stopped reading after, or at least a book or 2 after Tagarong, because it didn't feel like they were interconnected anymore.
No, that's...
Yeah, that never bothered me. I mean, I thought it was nice and I thought it was cool, but I'm like, okay, new characters. Of course, I don't know if I would be as attached to the series of course, I love the series for itself, but I just love the audiobooks. So that could be part of it too. I'm like, oh, yay, audiobooks.
Well, I mean, audiobooks of anything with more than just a solo narrator is fantastic.
Yes.
So having a full cast plus orchestration is kind of like, this is the full steak with mashed potatoes and gravy.
Yeah, it's like a production in itself. It's like a theater production that you can listen to while doing the dishes. It's great.
Counterpoint to that, if this is a full steak dinner and whatnot, the Dresden Files audiobooks has one guy who does all of them, James Marsters. Okay, he was on Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and
he's good.
And he has done all of the audiobooks for that franchise, and it's him solo acting out all of these parts, and it is darn good.
Oh yeah, I've listened to the first 2 of those. I've gotten through them very slowly because they're a little violent for a person who works in the courtroom all the time, and I'm just like, no.
You wait till you get to book like 12 or 13.
I know, that's why I'm hesitant. I'm like, man, I deal with enough of this in my day job. I want to go back to of course, Redwall series is not violent, but it's just not as in detail with all the gore.
Yeah. I won't spoil it terribly for you, Kitty, but let's just say the war with the Red Court of Vampires in that series comes to a head in the book called Changes.
Yeah. All right, then.
And, yeah. So, it's pretty violent. But, speaking of other violent books, back to Redwall. As Jeremy kind of indicated, this is about generation or 2 removed from the end of Matameo. Most of that cast is long gone, unfortunately. Yep. The surviving characters are Alma, who has taken up residence in Constance's place.
Who is probably late middle seasons. We are come. Don't you think she's like getting older, a little bit on the older side?
Middle-aged, to be certain.
Yeah.
I mean, given a later female badger, of who we have yet to cover.
Yes.
Yeah. We have the adorably cute Rollo, who served as kind of a comic relief in Matameo. Now the elderly Abbey recorder.
Yes.
And we have the grandson of Matthias and son of Matameo, Martin II.
Who was an infant and now is, I don't know, probably 30s, 40s.
I would say, 40s.
I was going to say, I don't get the impression that he's super young, but he's not like Rollo's age either.
And I'm not knocking it, but Matthias's bloodline ends with him. at this point. We don't the to the series credit, after this point, the Sword of Martin doesn't necessarily go to a bloodline. It goes to basically someone rises to the occasion when it's going to be needed from here on out, which is arguably one of the series' strengths.
Yeah, I like that better anyway.
It would have been boring if it just became, oh, Matthias started this big old bloodline, and now all his grandchildren and great-grandchildren, great-great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren are wielding the Sword of Martin. It's like, that's boring. We want to see other creatures wielding the Sword of Martin, and that's what we get.
Well, I think we could have gotten that even if they did continue the line, because who's saying that each descendant has to be the Abbey warrior? Like, they could have had like a son or daughter that decided to take up like a peaceful side and become the recorder instead.
I mean, in both Matthias and Menameo, both, much less with their respective wives, only had the one kid. It would have been an interesting plot variance if they had more than one, and the other brothers or sisters took a different life. But no, it ends here. I'm totally okay with that. We will arguably we see bloodlines more on the Badger side on Salamandastron.
Yeah.
Because not only do we get Brocktree, well, arguably all the way back to Stonepaw, to Brocktree, to Boar, to Sunflash, and
to Bella to Sunflash.
Yeah. And then whatever Sunflash's descendant was.
Ronblade, yeah.
Thank you, Ronblade. And this is the kind of period where we don't even know who's on the at Salamandastron right now. It's kind of, we joke about it, but Redwall isn't in real contact with them at this point.
There's also at least 2 members of the Stump family at Redwall. Which I think that too. I think that makes sense considering how many members of that family there were. Like, I'd be surprised if there was only one descendant.
There was a note saying that Orlando the Axe went off to Salamandastron, as was the way of all older male badgers. And it's like, we know he ended up there, but he's probably dead by now.
Right.
Yeah, it's arguably. My own personal headcanon on this is that he stuck around until Constance was, if not dead, close to it, and then walked and then basically traveled. Because, we're told at the end of Menameo that they're really close friends. So I could see him like, we're almost still satisfied to stay here. He doesn't want to, he wants to get up and go. So. But to the main plot.
Yeah.
We do have a whole new cast of characters to do with, and some of them, we like most of them. Most of them. There's only one character who kind of reminds us of Cynthia, but not nearly as annoying.
More prissy than anything else.
And she does have an arc that goes through 2 books. So.
Yeah. Right now, she's not great.
I mean, she's a kid.
Right.
But, well, no, I'm not saying about her, like, we'll get there, but I'm just saying, like, in general, she comes off as a prissy little, like, brat. And so, yeah, she gets a character arc throughout the whole book.
Which, and nobody has any parents.
Yeah.
No one does.
So many orphans.
Allow me to define the not Cynthia in one word. Fuss budget.
Yep. There you go.
Fair.
There we go.
We also have, of course, adorably cute kids. Chiefly among them is Arvin.
Arvin!
Yes.
Who has no parents for some reason.
Yes.
We have a bunch of other kids. I wrote down, my copious amounts of notes. So we also have Diggum, who's a female mole kid. We have...
We can get to them as we go through.
Okay.
We don't have to list off everybody now, because no one's going to remember every single character we list off right now.
There are many of them.
Yep.
So we start off with Tansy and Arvin.
Yep.
And they're going on an adventure.
Too.
Yes.
Get used to hearing that, folks.
And miggity maggity ho ho ho.
Oh man, I cannot imagine having to babysit a young squirrel on your own in Mossflower.
Yes,
And she requested this.
she did.
She literally asked for this. I don't know. I feel like I like almost right away. I kind of felt like Tansy is what Bryony was supposed to be, which is like she's smart and responsible for her age, but like her inexperience shows through. Like she's allowed to go out and gather herbs on her own. She was even allowed after constant begging to bring little Arvin with her, but she's not. She does freak out at certain points, and we find that she's not allowed to light a campfire as one spark could ignite the forest. And if you think I'm exaggerating, I live in a state where there's currently 4 giant freaking fires going on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's not always well described, but summer, much less autumn in Mossflower there's a definite fire hazard.
And they make it a constant point in the books where, like, even in the original book where Cornflower throws the lantern to burn down Clooney's siege tower,
Oh
they
yeah.
can say, like, thankfully the fire didn't spread. It's very dangerous. Even our enemies aren't using it. And in like Mariel of Redwall, where they use the fire slingers, they're like only the sea rats would use that. Maybe they don't understand because they live on the sea, but this could burn down everything.
Yeah.
So the two begin their gathering herbs, and they have a lunch, and yay, our food porn's back.
Oh yeah. Yep.
We had some of that in Castaways, but not nearly to this degree.
There's a lot of food in this section of the book.
Oh man, when we get to that cake sounds delicious, and I want it.
Oh god, yes.
Yeah.
I was
so glad I'm not
ironically
hungry
when
right
I was
now.
reading through this my first round go through, I literally had an apple pie baking, and I'm like, oh god, I can smell it.
Yeah, big tip for anybody reading this franchise for like the first time: make sure you're not hungry when you're eating it. Remember,
Yes.
you're reading it, eating it.
Yeah.
Darn it.
Sidebar.
Yeah, make sure you've eaten a good meal before you read any of these books.
Sidebar. You mentioned apple pie, Pete. All I could think of was went to a local, not not quite a farmer's market, more like just not corner store, like a little farmer's corner store, if that makes sense. Anyway, they do apples and local cheeses and sausages and stuff, and they had I think it's like one of those ice cream freezers, but it currently wasn't frozen, anything in there. And they were selling from it different kinds of artisanal fudge. And I got some. And one of the flavors was apple pie. Apple pie flavored fudge. And it was fantastic.
Mankind should not have this power.
All right, so Matthias, you have now brought up a steak dinner with mashed potatoes and gravy, and now apple pie flavored fudge. Thank you for my main course and dessert.
Yes. Yep.
Didn't you know that's my superpower? I talk about food and I make people hungry.
What was the opening part? What kind of soup do we have with this meal?
Oh, a nice hearty beef stew with a crusty dark wheat bread.
Ooh.
Well, I'm glad I already ate before I got on this call because I'm hungry.
You'll finish it off with a nice gingerbread herbal tea.
Nice.
Very nice.
I've got a coconut tea right here. It's delicious.
I have peppermint.
I finished some apple tea right before we started this.
Anyway, now that we went on another tangent.
So we're all hungry now, and there's
So Tansy and Arvin are in the woods, and it starts raining after their lunch.
Yes.
And Arvin should really know better, but he's a kid. I can forgive it.
Yeah.
Because they find a nice big hole in the ground.
Yep.
And a skeleton in that hole, and
Happy Halloween, kids! Even if it's coming out in November.
And the only reason why they see the skeleton is because of a lightning flash followed by thunder. And it's like, okay, time to run.
That's not creepy.
I mean, at least Tansy has the sense and the what would you call it? I don't know. She grabs the kid. She doesn't at least run off and leave the kid. She grabs the kid and runs.
You're on your own,
present-
Arwen.
Yeah.
She has the presence of mind to do the responsible thing.
Yeah.
I mean, she doesn't take the basket, but she at least grabs the other living, breathing being. So that's good.
Yeah.
Who knows if they if Armin hadn't been goofing off, maybe we would have never had this story in any way, shape, or form.
Well, I think our bad guys should still shown up.
Right.
Just that the local residents wouldn't know what they're looking for. Speaking of our bad guys, tell me if this sounds familiar. An self-proclaimed emperor or king strikes his claim on an island, and a bunch of pirate corsairs are under his command and sail into his islands for repairs and everything else, and all the
Yes.
taverns.
Nope,
Except
no
for
idea what you're
this
talking
one.
about.
Except for this guy is very smooth talking, very handsome, and he has eyes that hypnotize you. So that's fun.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But obviously, Katie, since you've listened to the audiobook, how differently do they play Gabul and our yet to be named villain here?
So this one was not a full cast one. It was just Jake's narrating it. But he gave him sort of a like, I'm Ublas, the Emperor. And I think he talked like through gritted teeth, like to give him sort of a voice like this. It was really interesting. But
all right, we have a Pine Marten for the first time in the series
Since Ashleg.
Yep. And
this one is not head of Vermin HR.
no.
No, he's not. So as I just mentioned, he has his own island. No, it's not Terramort. It's Katie, how do they pronounce this? Because I want to get this right.
Sampetra.
Sampetra, thank you. Sampetra, which is tropical. So this is much farther south. Arguably, probably west of Southward on the continent. We don't know. But Sampetra is, as you've already gathered, Emperor Ublas's territory. And he is also, quote, known as, quote, Mad Eyes, but no one ever calls it to his face and lives. Okay.
Hang on, just a sec. I'm looking here at the map at the beginning of the book, and it shows Sampetra to the northeast of Mossflower.
Okay.
Wait, on the other side? Like Marshank?
No.
Hang on, I'm looking this up.
Did I say east? I meant west. I'm sorry. Northwest. I was staring at the E. Why was I doing that?
That's all right.
It's
Professional.
northwest.
Ublas has his whole thing. The thing is that he has a massive timber stockpile, and basically he gets to be the captain of captains because Corsairs, being what they are, tend to wreck their ships.
That happens a lot in this book. Actually, that happened a lot in Mariel of Redwall. They point out, like, oh yeah, this one's missing this, that one's missing that, this one's been set on fire.
Yep.
Well, if Ublas has a monopoly on wood, do you think he'd be willing to trade me for some of my brick and let me build some roads?
Maybe.
Settlers of Catan? Anybody?
Yeah, it took me a minute.
Okay.
Make him wear a scarf first, though. Scarf over his eyes.
Speaking about his alleged power, he can apparently use his eyes to hypnotize things because that's a thing. All right. But he uses power to his great degree because he has two separate enforcer corps on his island. He has the native monitor lizards, and who are sentient in their own right and kind of terrifying in some degree. And he has a private army of rats who carry tridents.
Yes.
Hence called trident rats. You could have gotten a better name out of that. I'm sorry, but
Well, maybe he named them after his favorite brand of gum.
Oh,
There you go.
I don't know. He seems more like I don't know, big red type of guy. Juicy fruit.
Oh, what was that?
I mean, they're on tropical islands. I mean, come on.
What's that name? Is it Fruit Stripe? What was the name of that gum that had a zebra?
Oh yeah, fruit stripe gum.
Yeah, that's his favorite.
There we go. Yeah, I don't know. Ublaz kind of sounds like their version of like a vampire. He can hypnotize people. His name kind of sounds like Ublaz. So
I want to take your gold. Blah.
Why are you talking
where
like
are
that,
my
Paul?
pearls?
And we are introduced to this through a stout captain, the captain of the Waveworm, Conva, who is kind of dreading coming back home, but he really doesn't have much of a choice. He outright admits that he admires Ublaz, even if he considers him crazy, because the guy does, I won't say an iron fist, because we'll get to why in a bit, but he does certainly command respect among the captains for about 5 minutes.
Right.
he's
Conva-
he's also very different from Gabul. With Gabul, everyone was scared of him as they had no idea what the heck he was going to do next because he was completely out of his mind. With Ublaz, it's he looked at me and now I want to jump out a window.
Yep.
Yeah, Ublaz is like the hands-off version of Ungat He's like, I'm not going to break your neck and throw you out a window. I'm going to make you want to throw yourself out the window.
Yeah, I can just picture him having a conversation with HR. What are you talking about? I never threw anyone out the window. They threw themselves out the window. I did not do anything.
He even says that later. This one thought he was a bird.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Okay,
not
has
my
he-
fault.
That
Doesn't seem
canon,
like a me problem. This is a you problem.
headcanon, Ublaz is a descendant of Ashlag who got tired of enforcing HR rules.
There we go. Ashlag did live, so it is possible. And
Thrown in this throne room, and Convo basically explained, yeah, so we totally raided on that Holt of otters, Holt being a group of otters for the record, and yeah, we got some really neat treasure, and includes all these nice things except the pink pearls. Don't hit me!
And they totally killed all the Outers guys. Every single one of them, they killed them. All of them.
Yep. We totally didn't leave one barely alive to eventually get better and exact vengeance on you. You know, that will never happen.
Well, that was oddly specific for you to say.
And I like how Conva's like, yeah, they were stolen. These two guys did it. One of them got away. We killed the other one because And it's in this place called Redwall, but we'll totally go back there and get it. Ublast is like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Hey, wait a minute. Redwall? I've heard of that place.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding. It is outright said among the Corsairs. So either somehow the name of Redwall has gotten around, whether it's through a tangent through Southward or maybe the survivors of Terramort, but Ublast is like, wait, what? Redwall?
Yeah, and he's like, better people than you have tried that.
And
Like, that's not going to happen. You're not making it.
Here's the thing. I cannot blame Conva for coming home. He simply does not have the numbers, and he's in a foreign land that he does not know. So he can either risk trying to get the pearls back and going to war with an abbey he doesn't have any intel on the numbers or what they're capable of, much less he could, in theory, attract the attention of Salamandastron. So he's just like, hey, boss, we're going to need more people.
Yeah.
I get it. And yeah, this is well, what Ublaz does I think is tactical error, but we're gonna get to that point. He's just like, well, go chain him up in my my lizard barracks. I'm sure he'll be fine.
All those flesh-eating lizards, and yeah, don't worry about it. And we get introduced to Ublaz's second in command, Lask Frilder, who this is one of those rare moments in this franchise where the second in command sounds as dangerous, if not more, than the big bad does.
Yeah.
Yep. And all of his S's are replaced with Z's.
Because lizard.
Yes. Mightiness.
I kept hearing Lask Frilder's voice sounding like Dinobot from Beast Wars.
Yeah. I'm just imagining an estate of Asmodeus filing suit for copyright. Hey, that was my
Asmodeus
shit.
gonna sue somebody.
Objection, Your Honor. My client uses the Z sound and not the S sound. Therefore, it's completely different.
It is
Dismissed.
different.
But yeah, Urbulas basically tells Lask, hey, I need you to go to the mainland and get me the pearls that Redwall may or may not have. Just look, track them down. And you're gonna do it on Conva's ship.
I like how we go from, no, don't mess with Redwall. Hey, Lask, go to Redwall.
Yeah.
What? All right.
And he basically says Rumska the Ferret, who is Conva's second in command, gets to captain the ship. Take 20 monitors. I'm sure you guys will all come home.
Yep.
Oh god.
And to her
I'm
credit,
I'm
to
sure
her
half
credit,
of
she
you won't-
basically knows. She's like, I didn't get she's not like most of the typical vermin who are like, oh yeah, I got promoted, I'm the greatest. She's like, oh yeah, I got promoted, but I'm basically dispensable. Like,
Yeah.
he doesn't care at all about me. Like, I got to keep my wits about me here.
Yeah, she's not like Brog in Mossflower, like, oh cool, I got a nice fancy cape and this cool sword, and I'm being promoted all the time. Milady, where are you going?
Yeah.
Lady,
Yeah.
lady, get back!
Also-
Ah!
I have to say, I really like a lot of the names so far in this book. Like, they all sound like ones you need to type with an exclamation point. It's like Ramska, Kanva, Baranka,
Yep.
And
Flanny.
and Flanny. Yeah.
we
That
mentioned
was-
this off air, but to this book's credit, I mean, we've always had strong, good female characters on the hero side. We have a lot of female vermin for the first time. Like, normally there's maybe one who really stands out, maybe two. There's a lot more, and yeah, that's about time. I'm not saying the series is bad about female characters, because it really isn't. That's not one. That's really an unfair thing. But among the villains, it's mostly male bad guys. It really is.
Yeah, we have Romska. We have the Chief Trident Rat, who's also a female.
Sagittar or
Yep.
Sagittar?
He
Or
says Sagittar. I've always said Sagittar, so I'll probably alternate between the two.
Okay.
That's fine.
So
It doesn't matter. She's cool.
Yeah.
mhm.
She is. And she's basically, if not the second in command, she's definitely third on the island.
Yep. Well, it even says like
Oh,
she
yeah.
feels bigger now that like once Lask leaves, she's like, haha, now Ublaz will come to me and I'll always succeed in everything. And oh god, I let all the pirates get away.
Speaking of pirates, and this is where I was going to go to get to, where Ublaz kind of fails tactically. It's one thing he's holding Kanva prisoner. I get it. The guy failed in his one job. He had one job. And yeah, but one of the other captains that pays tribute, but not for much longer, is Kanva's brother.
Yeah.
And we're going to see a lot of different family dynamics when it comes to the vermin side as time goes by, especially our terrible couple in the Bellmaker. But you can definitely sell, and Katie, help me on pronunciation for this name.
Which one? Baranka?
Yeah, say it again.
Baranka or Baranka? I can't really tell.
Baranka will work.
Yeah.
Baranka is the captain of the freebooter and Kanva's brother. And yeah, he's kind of protective. Or at least to a point.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't take long for him to find out his brother's been taken prisoner. And compared to Kabul, where Jeremy mentioned earlier, where they were literally afraid of what he would or would not do, it's all of, like I said, it's all of 5 minutes because the other captains and ally with Bronca, and they're like, you know what? We could rule ourselves better. Ublaz, we have a word. We want a word with you.
I felt like once all these captains, like if they actually did take out Ublaz, they would then immediately turn on each other.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
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 Like I see no good outcome if these guys actually won.
Barranca reminds me of another seaborn scoundrel we know, one who wore an eye patch of gray.
I was actually thinking, didn't Gabul kill the brother of somebody in Mariel of Redwall, and then that
He
brother
did.
tried to take revenge?
Mm-hmm.
Zaltar.
That was it.
Yeah.
Yep. Also, more names that I like: Slashback and Bloodsnout.
Yep.
And then there's Flanny.
Real terror of the high seas, that one.
Flanny. All right. Named after his parents' favorite dish.
What does that
No,
make Rubby the cook?
Oh, and on an unrelated note, this otter is suddenly getting back up again.
Wait,
I'm
they were all dead.
okay.
It's like you had two jobs. Grath Longfletch, which is yet another really awesome name.
Yes.
And how ironic that she uses somebody whose last name is Longfletch uses bows and arrows.
It's almost as if it's an ironic name, except it's not ironic. How does that work? I don't know. I have a tenuous grasp on the English language.
And Grath is found by two water bulls who basically nurse her back to health. But we're told outright that the whole time she doesn't say one word until the day she leaves. I mean, she's clearly grateful for being nursed back to health, but yeah, she's kind of mad about all her kinsmen being, brutally slaughtered.
Yeah, this would be just devastating. Like it says she buries them and then she just stands out and cries. And I was like, oh, that's really sad. That's really dark.
Well, she actually does say one thing during her convalescence, and that's to ask for a yew tree, which she masterfully turns into a brand new bow, which I'm sure will not be used to commit mass murder against those sea scum who killed her family.
Right.
Grath is vengeance. She is the night.
Yeah.
Well, Oak Tom has been very dead for a while, so yeah.
There we go. Actually,
I am.
Grath, now I think of it as kind of more like the Punisher. Actually, you know what? Let's go back to the Batman one because Punisher sucks.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batgrath.
And there's the two Bangballs who rescued her kind of looking at each other like, okay.
Well, the husband's like, I feel sad for anybody that tries to stop her.
Yep.
Man, I can't wait for the climax of the book where she faces down and faces off with Ublaz.
Yeah, that's gonna be great.
There's only one thing
Spoilers.
There's only
Sorry.
one thing that I don't like about the sequence, that somehow she doesn't learn her healers' names. And I'm like,
Because they
no,
don't talk.
okay, but
It
you
even
did
said that they usually don't even talk to each other. So
Okay.
they're just both very. It even said some voles are like that, which I gotta say, these two I think are the best voles so far because they heroically saved this dying otter and helped nurse her back to health.
What about
And never
Rollo?
asked for anything in return.
Everyone forgets about Rollo. I like Rollo.
Okay, I'm sorry, I forgot about Rollo.
We're not talking about like Abbey raised voles, and even that's
Okay.
kind of
That
but
works.
for the wild and uncivilized quote unquote voles, it's most of them tend to be backstabbers. I don't know if you
Yeah.
noticed.
I'm pretty sure the last vole that we got to see that lived up north was Droop from Martin the Warrior. So
And he was great, man. He was just the best bull.
so loyal to himself.
we go back to Redwall, and this is where we were talking about earlier with Rollo basically saying, hey, you remember all those people you guys read about in the press books? Well, it's
They're
just me
dead.
and Alma.
They're
Yep.
dead. I really wish we had gotten a book with grown-up Matameo.
That would have been cool. Get to see Grandpa Matthias.
Yeah.
That's just Grandma Cornflower too. But yeah, it's great. We basically Abbott life goes on, so we know that pretty much going to happen. We get introduced to one of his best friends, Wooliger the Otter, It's just kind of fun. So.
And
Yep.
then they have a huge feast.
And then
That
there's
is-
Abbot Durrell, right?
Yep.
Have we
Yep.
talked about him yet?
No, I don't think we have.
Former kitchen mouse.
Yeah. I like Abbot Durrell too.
Yeah, me too. I
Ditto.
just remember reading this crack fic about Abbot Durrell, and they decided to cast him as like the old grandpa character who had no idea how any technology worked. And they're trying to like talk to him on the phone. He's like, "Are you on the phone? The telephone? How does the telephone work?" It's just really funny.
And news. I forgot how this works.
Yes.
I mean, we finally get Arvin and Tansy returning, and yeah, they're a little shooken up, and we finally see like older. Well, the Martin basically is like, "Hey, you're okay, guys, right? There's nothing to be scared about. Why are you shaking?"
Yeah.
Well, I like the fact that immediately both Arvin and Tansy calm down and feel safe with Martin there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And like to me, that is probably like that's the most important thing we can immediately learn about him. And like this is why he's the Abbey warrior. It's he can quickly instill like calm and confidence in those around him, even if they're like completely panicking.
Hmm.
Like immediately Arvin just like crawls up on his shoulder, Tansy leans against him, and he's like, "All right, no, I'll take you back. Don't worry about it."
And you gotta love Arvin's description of what they found.
Skeleton or something.
Yeah,
Skellington.
scowling tongue.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Sounds like a
He's
Pokemon.
like, "You found what?"
And Tansy's just like, skeleton. Oh gosh.
And Martin's like, "Oh, that's okay." And he's thinking like, "All right, they found a dead body. That's not good."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, go to that feast. You'll have fun. Hey, why'd you fall asleep? No, really, we're outright told that they're about to drop over.
Yep, from fatigue. So, I mean, glad he found them when he did. Otherwise, they'd be dead like Matthias' sister from wandering around.
Oh God.
Myrtle!
Just
Myrtle!
Thank you for finding us, Martin.
oh, by the way, yeah, just for the record, this means that Arvin and Tansy both were running longer than Matthias in the original book, got back to Redwall despite getting lost, and didn't have to fall asleep in the field.
Yes.
No, I don't think this was the quarry. I think this was just an outcrop that happened to have the same local sandstone. Why did I say limestone? I still have castaways on the brain.
And they mention after Martin gets back, they talk about how for countless generations the sword had been lost. So to me, that either means the Redwall book takes place really, really long time, a really, really long time after Salamandastron, or they just lost count because they can't keep track of anything.
Well,
you know how good
there were at least like 2 or 3 abbots in between Vale and Mortimer, it seems like. So maybe there were at least maybe 5, 10 generations between there.
we genuinely don't know.
Yeah.
But
Apparently,
it's really
countless.
easy. It's easy for things to get lost and turn into legend if you forget what you did with it, especially if no one's told because they don't have good records.
Right.
I can hear the inner page in you straining at that.
I'm not stressed. This is a genuine smile.
Well, this is one of the things we pointed out during Castaways, where they actually kept track of everything, and the only things they didn't know where to find were things that were legitimately hidden. Whereas here, it's, hey, let's check out the gaze house. Oh, God, all the dust!
Yeah.
And we also get Alma back at the table, and she's joking with Martin. Martin outright calls her like, "Hey, you always know that you're always happy when there's food around," and she's just like, "Yeah, well, you used to eat it in front of me, so when you were a kid."
Yeah.
And we get introduced to our quote terrible two. Let's see.
Cracklin and
And
Picknim.
Yep.
Yep, they are a respective.
Squirrel.
No.
Cracklin's a squirrel. Yep. And Pictum's mouse. I love these two. I like these two.
Oh,
a
they're
lot.
hilarious.
It's that trope of those two guys, but without the incompetence and way more likable.
Yeah.
And we get our first song. Yay!
Is this
Expect
the
a lot
one-
of these.
Is this the one where it's like she wore a green habit and she came from Redwall
Yep.
one?
Yep.
See, I kind of like that because it's sort of like the Redwall folk song. I don't know. I thought all the songs in this were pretty relevant to the story.
This isn't Goff making little ditties on the fly, but still.
Yeah, but I mean, like in Brocktree and even Legend of Luke, I just felt like the songs were just there to be songs. Like they had nothing to do with anything. But I just feel like this is a good bit of world building. Like, hey, we have folk songs about, two wandering mice that find each other, and one of them brings them back to Redwall. And isn't it nice? Like that sort of thing.
We also get the kids' favorite game, Frogs in a Gully.
Yes.
And
Which
even
basically
Alma's
means
like,
the kids
"Yeah!"
dog pile on Alma.
Right.
We even get a specific instrument just for hedgehogs, the hog twanger, which they play with their spikes. I thought that was actually kind of neat.
Me too. Yeah.
Martin's like, hey, so about Arvin and Tansy, they kind of found a dead creature, so skeleton, but we're gonna need to go check this out.
Martin's like, you want to see a dead body?
Yeah.
Want to see something strange and mystical?
No! Get out of here with that! Get out of here with that watch.
No, bad reference.
I was thinking more of Stand By Me. They go to find a dead body.
Ah,
But yeah, so they're like,
Martin's
oh,
like-
we should go out there tomorrow. And Martin's like, no, let's just go out in the middle of the night. Nothing bad could happen.
It'll be fine.
It'll be cool.
Alma, you can watch the place while I'm out.
Yeah. Alma, you keep not doing anything. Bye.
That's a disservice to Alma. She's the Abbey mother. She's supposed to keep everybody safe. I also like the fact that we see the scouting party go out and they are actually stealthy, like using shadows, explicitly, sneaking along quietly, not making sound, using all of their Woodlander skills to avoid anything that could be out there because it's night.
Right.
And
Right.
as opposed to certain other expeditions that careened headlong out of control. Rap, Buta. Sorry, something in my throat.
Mm. They find the skeleton quick enough because Tansy apparently told Martin where to find it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's like, oh,
And they're
Oh,
like,
so
look,
what
he's
the-
holding a spoon.
and then Rollo apparently was following behind. Hi guys.
And then they're like, we hear something coming through. Let's attack it.
Who is that approaching our heroes? Friend? Foe? Feast? Dial 555-733-9255 and vote in the next 30 seconds on who you think it is. Don't actually call this number. It isn't real.
Well, better than the 900 numbers that used to advertise to kids back in the 80s.
Oh boy.
Oh no, that's a thing. Like even like the popular cartoon shows would have 900 numbers for kids to call in and hear something tangent to the show, like He-Man.
Like the
I'm sure no
Nintendo,
parents were ever mad
hotline.
about that.
Yeah.
Oh, that number? 733-9255. That's if you spell out Redwall on an alphanumeric keypad.
Oh, nice.
How do
I
you
couldn't
know that
resist.
offhand?
Because I wrote that number down specifically. It's in my notes.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's from your notes?
That's from my notes.
Oh,
Do you not
okay.
read my notes?
Somebody didn't look at the notes.
I don't look at other people's notes.
Oh, okay.
Sir, you wound me.
But yes, the person sneaking up on them is, hey, it's a hare.
And an owl.
Yep.
And
And
then
so it's a hare. So it's a friendly foe of a feast. If you guessed all three, you win.
and yeah, it's Clucky
Yep.
and Garul.
And like all hares, he tends to have a stupid long name that he has shortened.
Yes. And I believe the owl's pronounced Geralt,
Oh, okay.
which is how I think it's how Jake's pronounces it, but
Okay.
Plexstar Lepus Montiel.
Yes. And I just love, I don't know why I love this quote so much, but when they figure out that each other are not enemies and they're kind of talking, and all of a sudden Clucky just goes, "Oh, I say, a small fat mouse on fire."
I had that written down.
It's like, I don't know
love
why,
that.
it just cracks me up every time I read that. I'm just like, that's
Every
great.
time I read that, I think it's like so matter of fact. Where he's like, "Hey, look, there's a small fat mouse on fire."
Yes.
No, really, guys, there's a mouse on fire.
Well,
you're
at least we're not on fire.
Yeah.
And we found out it's formal, and he's like, "I'm not a mouse on fire. I'm a mole holding a lantern."
Oh.
No. There's that floating ghost mouse that's on fire in the background. Martin, what are you doing?
That's gone. That has to be
Wrong.
Yeah, I
gone.
think that's more gone.
And then present day Martin is like, "What? Who are you talking to? You said my name."
So they can identify that he is a weasel, based both on the skeleton and what he's wearing, which is rags. So but he's clasping this neat spoon. Hey, I've seen this before.
Firmold the Ancient.
Yep.
But wait, what if there is no spoon?
Whoa. I know Kung Fu.
But
Anyway, back at San Petra.
No, hang on. I need to establish something here. Martin's like, wait a minute. There wasn't any weasel at the Abbey. What are you guys talking about? Oh, that was where you were waging war with the Gorsum against robber foxes. Oh, yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. It's like,
It's a good world building. It establishes that the Abbey Warrior doesn't go exclusively on big epic quests. They go on minor, not quite as epic quests.
Well,
yeah, I mean, I guess what was the reason for him not to know that there was a weasel there? That always kind of confused me.
Yeah, I think he would have asked for an update when he came back.
Oh, okay.
Like, I'm just thinking, like, why wouldn't anyone have told him? Like, so anything happened? I was gone. Oh yeah, this crazy weasel showed up and freaked out and then ran away.
Oh, okay. But it also shows that there's still world building here because the Abbey clearly still has a good relationship with the Ghost of Shrews, going back to the original Redwall. So obviously, if they called for help, Martin answered.
Yep.
So that's a good thing.
That is cool.
And yes, they basically like, okay, well, when you come back to the Redwall with us? Do we?
You have food.
They were.
No.
Wait.
You had me at food.
Yeah.
And they outright mention, hey, we haven't had our hair in residence since Basil, so yeah, let's go ahead. Come on over. Also begs the question what happened to Cheek, since, he's
Right.
adopted son of Basil.
I hope he wasn't part of Holt Lutra.
I have a question. Is Geralt our first? Wow. Is Geralt our first young owl that we see? Because I think all the other owls were kind of older.
Well, it's likely. I mean, Sir Harry the Muse was clearly an adult. So,
right.
I think so, with the exception of
age.
Boldred's kids.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh,
Stonehead McGurney had kids.
Yeah. But I mean, they didn't really say a lot. Like this one has quotes from his mother, there's nothing like a surprise for surprising you, or something like that.
Nothing like
It's
a
what
surprise
your
when you're
mother
not
used to
expecting
say.
it.
Yeah.
We also get, when they get back to the Abbey, they like, oh yeah, Firmal the Ancient, she used to talk about a poem about this guy named Mad Eyes. I'm sure it wasn't important.
We forget things at Redwall.
Yeah.
It's only chapter 5, and we already have a riddle poem. I mean, the poem density on this book is through the roof.
Considerable. Yes. And we haven't even gotten to the pearls yet.
Nope.
So you were saying back at the villain plot?
Meanwhile, back with the villains, Conva is dragged up from the dungeon, and it's like,
well, no. He's been sitting in the monitor's barracks.
Dungeon, monitor's barracks, same thing.
Yeah, flesh-eating lizards. Hi, guys. Please don't eat me.
Yep. So he's like, bring Conva to me, and they're dragging him, and Ublaz just gets impatient when he sees Conva struggling. He's like, "Look, moron, if I was going to kill you, I would have done it by now. Now shut up and sit here." Okay. And he's like, "All right, I want you to draw what the pearls look like." "I don't know how to draw." "I said draw." "Okay."
Yep.
And then he describes them. He's like, "During the day, they were this color, but at night, when the light reflected off them," and even Ublaz is like, very poetic. All right.
Yeah.
I told you I can't draw. I told you, boss, I can't draw. I'm a good poet. I can write songs. I just can't draw to save me life.
Which we then find out what happens with why Ublaz wanted him to draw it. He has these 4 seagulls, and he's
Black
like,
seagulls.
Yeah, whatever.
It is brought up as a point.
I'll make a joke then. I had a bad joke. I'm not going to make.
Good for you.
He's like, "Go and find these. Find Laskfrilder. If he doesn't have them, get them yourselves." And they fly off, and they're like, "All right, we're looking for 6 round objects. They should totally not, like, no matter what they are." That doesn't turn out
round pink objects, you know.
Yep. And then Conva's like, and then Ublaz looks back to Conva. He's like, "What should I do with you? Let me live. You have seen and heard too much." What? I have a question. What exactly did he witness and hear that he shouldn't have? They literally went over the same information he already knew.
Yeah, and this is where I wanted to bring up. This is a tactically dumb point on Ublaz's part. He already knows he has a Captain Rebellion on his hands, led by the brother of Conva, no less. Now you have a ready-made hostage right now.
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do is simply hold him prisoner and use him as a bargaining chip to bring Barranca to the table and say, "Hey, let's talk this out." And he doesn't. He does basically convince Conva with his magic eye powers to jump out the window.
See, and I think that's the thing. He just really likes using his magic eye powers.
Okay, all well and good. But as we're going to see shortly, when Braga finds out what happened to his brother, Ublaz could have just said, "I'm so sorry about this. I had nothing to do with this. Your brother killed himself on his own accord.
He jumped out a window. I didn't have any control over that."
How could we
he
make
thought he
this
was
right?
a bird for some reason. He saw my seagulls fly out the window and
how can we make this right? And instead, Ublaz is just like, he basically outright admits to, "Yeah, I told him to jump out the window and he did. Oh, well. So, you still want to rebel?" "Yes!"
Yeah.
It's like, no, you have either a hostage or at least a point where you could fake compassion for this guy's brother, and you don't. And you've basically sealed the rebellion against yourself by doing so.
Yeah, also, as we see, he doesn't really see them as that big of a threat, so I think he just didn't really care.
Mm-hmm. And
I'm not saying he was right to think that, but
that leads to Greypesh. Barranca immediately laying the groundwork for a Corsair rebellion.
Yes, although Barranca doesn't live as long as Greypatch did.
No.
But as I said, Ublaz himself comes down and says, "So, sucks about your brother there, guys. So,
we're cool, right?"
And no, we are not cool. I am going to take this island from you.
Yeah. Which I like how they they keep trying to one up each other. Where the captains wake up and they're like, "Oh, we're surrounded," and Ublaz is like, "I have you surrounded now." And they're like, "Pirates!" And all the pirates surround Ublaz, and it's like, and Barranca, smart enough, looking at it, going, "Okay, Ublaz lost the element of surprise, but he could still just rush and kill me right now, and my rabble of idiots will probably screw up trying to rush him. But he doesn't know that I know this, so we're just gonna sail away."
I was hoping for more layers of it. I know that he knows that I know that he knows that I know. So because he knows, I'm going to go do this. But if he's anticipating that...
He will plan around what I know, and then he knows that I will try to jump off the ship like a bird. And I know he monitors everything.
Indeed.
Oh.
I just got that. So
it's my special delayed joke attack.
Veronica basically is like, yeah, so this is war, and my ship is drifting out to sea. Everybody else, hey guys, hide in the hills, and we'll come back for you.
I'll totally defeat you, Blaz. No, you won't. Yes, I will.
And hey, the rebels left a couple of ships here. Go ahead and take the Blood Keel and, hunt him down and kill all the other captains, but bring Veronica back to me. I kind of want him alive. Okay? Okay, good. And meanwhile, with our awesome otter assassin...
Yep. She has found some luckless sea rats.
Oh, but before we get to that, we have her personal song or / poem, and it is chilling.
Yep.
She's basically like, I'm going to kill all of you.
Yep.
I really like during this fight, like the shift of point of view to the sea rats, where we could have just gotten her just like picking them off, but instead it's showing, yeah, she is scaring the heck out of these guys.
And with good reason.
Yeah, like she's taking out all of them.
Yep.
And the former captain is like, all right, I'm going to drag this lifeboat out into the ocean and then get away. And my foot just hit something. And, oh, God, you're a very large otter.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah. Would you like this?
Yeah.
And now Greth has a boat.
Woo.
She'll have to clean up some stains, but yeah.
Yeah. I see you have a red boat there, Greth. It's painted with the blood of my enemies. Great!
On a more serious note, I know we've ragged on the whole vermin aren't evil because they're vermin because they're evil thing that Brian tried to establish. I feel, however, for this case, that when it's sea rats being attacked and they're pinned down, they shouldn't automatically be going for each other's throats if that isn't true. And this is almost a consistent trait of them not being able to put aside bickering when they're in dangerous situations. It's, I mean, that kind of gives some credence to the whole they're vermin because they're evil argument. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying this makes it a more reasonable explanation.
Mm-hmm.
And
But
then,
of course, then we have Romska, so she kind of...
who is awesome.
Yes.
She's Mariel crossed with Maud Bow.
Right?
Pretty much. She basically gets a Klingon promotion to the captaincy of the Wave Worm instead of Kantha, and she knows what she's doing.
And
she had
totally...
been first mate, and now she's in charge, even if she technically reports to Lask.
Yeah, and she totally loves the fact that he is seasick and all of his lizards are seasick, and she's just like, watch this. So, how's it going? How you feeling? Isn't it great weather today?
Would you like some boiled fish guts?
Yeah.
I'm cold-blooded, you jerk.
Yeah.
I made that joke, but no, that's a thing. The monitor lizards are cold-blooded, and Ubla sent Lask and a score of them, and 10 die from exposure.
Yeah, because they go through like cold weather, and she's like, yeah, I can boss them around. And Lask is like, when we get to shore, I will be in charge. And she's like, all right, yeah, if you live that long.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, he lives that long.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. And I'm just surprised, like, no one thought, hey, maybe we should put the... I mean, I know why she put the lizards in the cabin she put them in, but none of them thought, hey, it's getting really cold. Maybe we should go to the galley and warm up by the oven.
I do like that, where she's like, yeah, and I put them in the front so they'll feel every wave. It's great.
Yeah.
She is just having the time of her life.
Oh, yeah.
Like she's like, look, I know I got a battlefield promotion simply because Uplaz most likely is gonna kill my last boss, but hey, I'm gonna enjoy it.
Yeah.
And even she's even having fun like with the steers rat, like talking to him, like this is so good. And even the steers rat is having a fun time with it.
Yeah, and like all her
Blade
crew
Tail.
seems to like her too. Like they seem to get along really well with her.
Yeah.
And and poor Lask. He definitely reaches over the side.
Yeah. Last welder.
Get back to Redwall, and hey, Tansy and Arvin are waking up in the infirmary, and hey, you want this magic cure-all that everyone knows is terrible? And I don't know why Abbot Durrell hasn't ordered his chief medical officer to not do this.
Yeah, we found out Sister Cicely likes giving her patients warm nettle broth, which does not sound good at all. It sounds just like lukewarm soup, and like ew.
Yeah,
Not even lukewarm soup. It's more like, imagine bouillon, but it tastes like really off salad.
I was gonna say, didn't they say it tasted like muddy ditch water?
Hey, this is muddy ditch water. Wait a minute.
I think the first time I read this book, I read it as like needle at one point, and so now whenever I read this, I just think of like some broth, which with some like spiky grass sitting in it.
Oh.
Ugh.
Well,
So,
the thing
yeah,
is, that's kind of what nettles are, right?
Yeah. So Tansy and Arvin like have a little fun, and then Cicely walks in. It's like, hey, I thought you two were sick, but you're gonna clean up my entire infirmary. Bye. And she slams the door, and they're like, what just happened? And then Teasel, who is super sweet, is like, oh, you guys don't worry about it. Just go downstairs. You're cool.
Yeah.
Like, I'll take care of it for you.
Yeah, it's funny because in both this book and Tagarung, we have seemingly older female mice that are the infirmary sister and that are not really that nice at all.
Yeah. Cicely, you are no Sister May.
Right.
Oh. Well, clearly that's their secret. You get healthier quicker because you don't want to be there.
Yeah.
You want to get the heck out of there.
I suddenly feel much better. Thank you, Sister Cicely. I'm going now.
Yeah.
We also have, for lack of a better way to put it, our Mean Girls moment. We have Viola Bankful. So
Miss Prissy.
I won't say rival, but she and Tansy obviously
don't like each other.
No, they don't.
Well, it sounds like it's mainly Viola is a prissy jerk and is picking on Tansy. It's like, oh, I hear somebody's not going to be let outside anymore. It's like, yeah, it started pouring rain and she saw a skeleton of a dead guy. Like, geez, cut her some slack.
Yeah.
It's, it's not like Tansy just, failed at raising some kid because she was put in an awkward situation like some other member of Redwall we once read about.
Yeah.
And she's clearly not, at least not yet, in a traumatic experience where she doesn't know how to react and all she does is cry.
Yeah,
so.
Yes.
She has led a sheltered life, which also I'd like to know, how do privileged and prissy characters grow up in Redwall of all places? Like, they kind of give everybody pretty equal stuff there. Like, I don't see this little high society section of Redwall.
I'm wondering if Viola at some point was like, hey, maybe I can use some arts and crafts ability to make my clothes look nicer. Or maybe one of the older sisters was like, maybe you could spice up your Abbey robes a little bit. Here, let me show you how to do this, or let me do this for you. And it just went out of control. Like letting a child get access to your credit card.
Oh.
No, don't do that.
Oh. Viola Viola is one of those kids that would spend $300 on microtransactions.
On cosmetic deals.
Oh, and
Yeah.
and the the two get into a pretty much a shouting match thanks to Arvin. Arvin puts a bowl of porridge where Viola was sitting, and Viola doesn't notice it before she sits back down.
I will say, I like how Arvin is doing this because he's coming to Tansy's defense.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is at least, you know what, he's a little evil, but he's doing it for a good reason. So,
Yeah.
you know what, I like that.
They're pretty good buddies, him and Tansy.
Yeah.
So, and Viola takes this humiliation very well, to the point that the grown-ups get involved and they're trying not to laugh.
Yeah.
It outright says Martin is having a hard time not laughing about this.
Teasing and arguing, and making people sit in porridge. Your punishment is going outside and having a good fun day.
But
Yeah, well,
still got to do some chores.
yeah, that's
well,
for
they
Arvin.
do.
Oh,
Well, yeah. Well, they send. They purposefully send Tansy upstairs because the night before they had read something about Fairmold and heard somebody on the stairs, and then this morning when Tansy meets Klecky and Geralt, he's like, "Oh, I'm Klecky and this is Geralt." I know. How do you know? I think someone told me.
Yep.
And so they're like, I think she was the one spying on us. Tansy, could you go, sweep the attic right near Fairmold's old room, just for no particular reason at all.
also love Martin's here. The warrior mouse kept his face straight. Make them promise to never do it again. Kiss and make up.
Yeah.
Oh, God. And so, yeah, the two are given chores. And, hey, yeah, go to that attic that doesn't have any sparrows in it anymore.
Aww.
Yeah.
I
Poor
think that's a
Sparrows.
different attic.
Oh.
There's the, hey, we can walk up here and there's rooms up here. And then there's the, hey, there's the attic that's really just roof space underneath the rafters. And
The
Well,
loft, I
yes,
think, is
it's
what
true.
they call it.
It's worth
Yeah.
bringing up that sparrows aren't really in the series after this.
Well,
Yeah,
considering
it's
there were like
sad.
3 left at the end of Madameo, I mean,
It's logical to assume they moved on. I
Yeah.
get it.
And it's Ironbeak's fault. He killed all the babies and old people.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like the 4 that came back from Warbeak's expedition, one of them gets killed too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But on a more happy note, on a more
Yeah.
positive note, they go upstairs and they find Tansy, who's like, brush, 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 sneak, 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 brush, 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 sneak, sneak, sneak. She goes to Fairmold's old room, looks around, and then all of a sudden the others are like, hey, how's it going? Oh, I was just adding the brushing the attic. I like that. She starts trying to sweep up Fairmold's room and just kicks dust up everywhere. That is so funny.
Tansy, you're trying too hard.
Yeah.
We know it was you. No, it was not. No, it was me. What?
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. And I like that too. But it's like, you were spying on us. She's like, I wasn't spying. I just happened to hear you and then ran away when you found me. Isn't that what spying is? No, shut up. And then Martin tries to chastise her. It's like, you were given a task. You were supposed to brush the stairs. I did, though. Oh, darn it.
Yeah.
and Clecky's like, haha, she got you there.
Didn't you see it on the way up? Those were well-swept stairs.
How would you know, Klecky? No, how would he know? He hasn't lived at Redwall for more than 24 hours.
Well, he can tell if stairs have been swept or not.
Fair enough.
Considering how much dust... This is a very dusty abbey, apparently. Just
Yes.
dust flies everywhere.
I mean, logically speaking, if we're dealing with anthropomorphic animals, dander would be everywhere.
Everywhere.
Like Mr. Braithwaite.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. That's dandruff.
Oh, yes. That's just what it reminded me of.
Yeah. And so they're like, all right, well, and Rollo sits down. He's like, all right, folks, nothing to see here. Hey, Tansy, why don't you show the girl and Kalecki how to make a cake? I'm sure that'll go well.
Yeah, this is such a comedy of errors. Like, she's scolding one of them while the other one's sneaking behind her back doing something else.
And like the entirety of Redwall is watching it like this is live theater or something.
Yeah.
You'd think that Rollo was intentionally trolling Pansy for some reason.
Yeah, he pretty much is.
I'll teach her to spy on us.
And then they make 7 is it marchpane? Is that how you say that? Whatever that
Marzipan?
candy is?
Marchpane.
Yeah, I always say marzipan, but I don't think that's quite the same thing.
No, it's a different thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so there are 7 of them, and then, well, somebody steals one, and so now there are 6. I'm sure that won't be important at all, that there are now 6 of them.
Oh,
Yeah,
7?
6
spear-shaped candies that happen to be pink. Oh, gosh. No.
Well, to quote from the book directly, 7 balls of marchpane in pink rose petals preserved in honey, which sounds a lot like 6 pink pearls. So, pearls of an evil hypnotic pine marten desperately wants. Yeah, the same one sending 2 separate forces to the abbey to reclaim said pearls. So that means, oh, that cake sounds delicious.
Yeah.
And
Rollo finds, basically, he finds a Firmold the Ancient's, journal.
yep, where she talks about Greylunk, and I'd think I'd feel more sympathy for Greylunk if he hadn't been part of a crew that ruthlessly murdered an entire holt of otters.
Right.
Yeah. And
Like-
when it came time for my notes that I tend to do for these books, and I classify people hero, villains, or neutrals, I really wasn't sure what to do with Greylunk. Yes, he's a Corsair. Yes, he was a participant in a brutal series of murders. But by the time he gets to Redwall, he's clearly brain damaged. And I'm not talking joking brain damage like we did for the first Martin. I'm talking legit brain damage.
More like Clog at this point.
Mhm.
Like what happened to him.
Worse.
Yeah, okay,
than
fine.
Like,
Pre-head wound Greylunk evil. Post-head wound Greylunk
Neutral.
neutral.
I won't call him a hero character.
Yeah.
But she kind of goes over like when Greylock got there that the other Abbey drawers at least tried to make him comfortable, but no one could really stand him except Firmold.
Mhm.
And not to call up Outcast without reason, it's just like we've seen the Abbey treat vermin species who walk through their front door, whether in solos and pairs, with all common courtesy. But here, it's clearly based on more on Greylunk's like constant weeping and genuine mental issues. No one wants to be around him.
Mhm.
And it even says like that they tried.
Yes.
That like they really wanted to try, but like there was no real consoling him. So it's like they might have just hit the point and they're like, I'm not sure what to do with him. It's like we've tried making him feel comfortable. We've tried tending to his wound, but there's nothing we can really do about it. So, and it's like they said since Fairmold was kind of an oddity herself, she was kind of drawn to him.
And did we outright mention? Yeah, Greylunk had a head wound.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cracked skull.
He and another Corsair had stolen the pearls. The two of them had a fight, and the other one got stabbed, but he also cracked Greylunk over the head.
Yeah.
Greylunk made his way to Redwall, and this is where the story picked up.
Yeah. And so we find that Greylunk left the Tears of the Oceans, as they call them, and said to Fairmold, like, hey, he at least had the bit of mind of, I need to go somewhere else to die so they don't find that I was here. And if they do come looking for me, don't tell them I was here. And Fairmold is like, okay, if I live long enough for any of his like former comrades to show up, I will say that he was never here.
Although they kind of know he is. So.
Well, they know he was at least in the area, but they don't know exactly what happened to him after he reached Redwall.
Mhm.
No.
And if Redwallers say, like, no, he was never here, what are they really going to do about it? But then Rollo finds a riddle that Fairmold left, and they did mention, and they mentioned earlier that she was known to speak in, like, riddles and rhymes, So like this makes sense for her. And she was also like a bit of a recluse, so she had time to do this, and she also understands like why these pearls are important. She's like, okay, only somebody really worthy of it should be able to find these.
Mm-hmm.
And
what do you know? She outright mentions, "Hey, Martin the First kind of came to me in my dreams and said, hey, you should do what you know is right."
Yep. And I'm pretty sure Faramond came up with all these riddles, so Martin had it easy this time. He just had to relay a message.
Yeah.
I just imagine going back and the spirit of Gonf is like, but I came up with all these riddles. Don't you want to use them?
Hey, Gonf, take a vacation.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm bored.
Meanwhile, like they say they want to hide the cake in the gatehouse. And while I'm sure that's a good hiding place, maybe pick a place that isn't known for having layers of dust if you're going to put food there.
Right.
Well, is Martin the Second here? Is he even staying in the gatehouse? Because clearly that was Matthias and Cornflower's house, and presumably Manomeo and his wife's. But I don't know that Martin is staying in there.
The otter stays there now, right? The what's his face? The gatekeeper
Volgar.
otter. Yeah, that him.
Yeah. But on their way there, all of a sudden, the seagulls attack.
Mine.
Mine.
Mine?
Stop it now. Anyone knows that? But so Tansy and the Friar are attacked, and Martin, Geralt, and Klecky immediately go into action. Geralt just kills outright one of the gulls, like pins it down and starts stabbing it with his beak and talons. Martin breaks a tray over the head of another one, and Klecky, like, despite all the goofiness of these characters, Klecky immediately like throws himself on top of Higgle and Tansy, like protecting them with his body.
Mm-hmm.
We're not told. We're told that he's a mountain hare, but the Long Patrol or Salamandstron is not mentioned by name, so it's not fair to say he's a member of that agency.
Yeah, he could be like Basil, just a standard, just lives in the wilderness, fighter. But yeah, this shows that he is, even though he's goofy, he, as they say, he's a perilous hare.
Mm-hmm.
And Sister Cicely is like, yeah, send them up to the infirmary. I'll give them some warm nettle broth.
No! We're fine. Go away.
It's like anti-food porn.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, please.
It's one heck of a sight to say, oh, yeah, the owl just killed one of them outright.
Yep.
He's got the blood breath.
Well, Geralt's like, as my mother used to say, if you're going to do something, then do it then finish it. And if you have an enemy, just take them out.
Yep.
I like you.
Yep. The seagulls fly away. Not mine, not mine, not mine.
Yeah.
Yours?
Yours?
Yours? Meanwhile, back on Sanpetra, Ublaz is creepy.
Yeah.
Snake!
Why'd it have to be snakes? I hate snakes.
It's Ublaz goes down to a dungeon, leaves the door open, and tells these two lizards to watch as he hypnotizes a coral water snake, which I'm sure will have no significant importance later on.
No.
I do want to say the chapter art for 11, we didn't mention earlier, but it is written in the book that Ublaz is counting on these pearls because the crown he's made for himself has 6 inlets for those pearls. And you can see them on chapter 11's art.
Yep, as he's staring at the snake.
Yep.
Which we have yet another poem where he says, golden guardian of my wealth, hear me now, be still. Deathly fang and coiling stealth, bend until my will.
Yep.
You could have just asked, boss.
And it says that he knows resistance will be futile. I think the Borg gonna sue someone.
Guys, the lizards guys, I just hypnotized that snake. Aren't you impressed?
Yep.
Boss, you do this every week.
Well, it says that he wants them to spread the word of it, so like the legend of his eyes gets out to more people. Which, something I got to point out for this book, I feel like we have more villain subplots than hero subplots so far.
I'm okay with this.
I'm not complaining. I just think it's something different. Like, we have two main plot lines for the villains, which is Ublaz dealing with the mutiny and Romska's crew, and we've only been following like one. Well, I guess Grath, but Grath has barely been in the story.
I mean,
so
it's not
far.
like she's on the cover. Oh, wait, she's on the cover.
Oh, speaking of the cover, depending on your edition, if you look on the back and you got that image of Emperor Ublaz with the sword or the dagger going one way, and he's holding in his other paw the cup.
Yep.
If you look to the left, you see the trident rat there. The trident rat looks kind of weird, almost like Elf.
She's like.
Hang on, I'm looking this up because I have the Kindle edition, so I only get the front, the black and white front cover.
This is the Ace Fantasy paperback.
Yep.
Which I have to say, my copy has definitely seen better days, but considering this book is 22 years old, that makes sense.
There you go.
Oh, I think I found a picture of it.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely Alf.
So that's what happened to him after the FBI found him.
That or Gabool got resurrected for another book.
I mean, that's always possible.
Wild.
As opposed to Jeremy, my edition is practically mint because it's actually my second copy. I picked this up. It was apparently a factory reject or something, or they were able to get it wholesale because still has written inside in pencil $3. I was able to pick up a brand new copy of Pearls for $3.
Dang.
Years ago, and I just had it on my shelf. It's actually my second copy. The first one got so beat up, I relegated it to the family car as here, if I need something to read while I'm out and about.
That's kind of what I did with the original Redwall book, where my copy, like, the cover fell off and things like that, so I bought a second copy of it. And as I was reading this one, part of the blue outline on the front of it fell off. So...
Aww.
And if you look at the very back of the inside of the cover, it's like turning brown.
Nice.
Like that. It's just, that's how long I have had this copy. So some of the ones I have never been opened before, which is the books I haven't read yet. I'm actually looking forward to that. So this way I don't continue to put more wear and tear on my old copies.
We pick up with Romska and Lask on the ship, and like I said, Lask has lost half of his monitors, and he's not happy about that.
Hey, Captain Romska, I'd like to order an order of lizard sickles to go.
Yeah, and he he even says, like, "Where are we?" And Romska goes, "Look, I was just thrown into the captain's chair. Even I'm not 100% sure where we are."
Well, crap.
Yep. But then they get through the fog, and Romska's like, "Oh, I know where we are now. This is where we killed every single otter from that halt. We totally didn't leave any of them alive. All right, let's head south."
Yep.
And then, we also get a pirate song.
Very Muppet Treasure Island.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You win. That's great.
Yeah, I knew you'd like that.
And not just for Tim Curry. But yeah, it's kind of a fun song, even though if it's straight up, hey, blood's my favorite color.
Yeah.
Oh.
Meanwhile,
and Lask is taking all these insults to his pride very well. He's like, "I'm gonna dance in your grave." Okay, sure, whatever.
Yeah, he's like, "Prepare burial rites for my dead lizards," and Romska's like, "No."
Hey guys, prepare burial rites. And hey, they're tossing them off the ship. Yeah.
Wait, there's only 9 we're throwing off. Where's the 10th? I don't know. By the way, lunch is ready.
Oh. That's terrible. I approve. But speaking of our outer assassin, yeah,
Yep.
she's back.
Her ship breaks apart, and she finds Log-a-Log in the shrews.
Hooray.
Oh, hi, Gosum. It's been a while. But yeah, they take her in pretty quickly, actually. I'm really glad that I also love this bit. She drank Shrewbeer that had a hot rapier to mullet. A rapier thrust into its mullet. One, no one of them had a pot, like a common pot that they could just pour the beer into over the fire, let it warm that way. They heated a rapier up to metal heat, metal changing color, and then put that inside their beer. I'm sure there's no side effects to that.
No, never.
I mean, to be fair, you'd probably burn off any bacteria, but
Just make sure there's no lead inside their blade.
Oh. And Log-a-Log's like, by the way, I hope you don't mind snoring from all the shrews. And Grath's like, nah, you should try living in our hole. All right, cool. I'm going to start snoring too. Bye.
hey, you were supposed to sing first. And yeah, we get two Ghostum songs here.
Yeah.
We get one that's where we're on the camp and one while they're paddling, which makes sense. You want cadence to keep the boats together.
Meanwhile, back at Redwall, they decide to start trying to figure out Faramald's first clue, which they go to Tansy in the infirmary, and Higgle's like, no, go ahead, figure it out. If Cicely comes back, I'm going to force feed her own nettle soup.
Yeah, Abbey Charter has
like,
a
hey, open that
against...
window, I'm going to throw this out.
Well, the Abbot Charter does have a provision against cruel and unusual punishment.
You can almost see it. Sister Cicely saying to Martin, you better not be bringing real food into my infirmary. Oh, no, Marm, I would never. In turtle dialogue says, leave my friends with only that vile, warm nettle broth to drink.
Yeah.
And they decide to leave and go figure out the riddle by going back to Faramald's attic. And they finally figure out, like, oh, we need to look under this floorboard. Hey, why isn't this floorboard we're all standing on not moving? And then Rollo's like, maybe we shouldn't stand on this floorboard. And all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, you're a genius.
Brilliant.
And that's when they find the shell of that's supposed to hold the pearls, and it just has one little piece of paper. And they're like, all right, there's going to be 5 more pieces of paper. Let's figure this out. Why can't we figure this out? Well, it's midnight. Maybe we should get some sleep.
Jinkies.
Looks like we got a mystery on our hand, gang.
But no talking dog.
Yep. And
we have a talking hare.
Yeah. They all go to
Clacky,
sleep.
clacky, cloo.
When they go to sleep, I think OG Martin was jealous of Faramald getting all the riddles, so he shows up to Tansy and tells her a riddle about, like, you will eventually have to return the tears to their true owner. Goodbye!
Yep.
Hey, can't be a Redwall book and my ghost doesn't show up somewhere.
We actually get a really nice, just like kind of realistic moment where the friar and Friar Higgle and his wife Teasel and even the abbot go down to the kitchens to start everything up and start heating up the ovens, setting up the food, cleaning out the ovens. Like, it shows that Redwall isn't like this magic food machine. Like, this actually takes dedication and hard work.
Yeah.
And they also I gotta love this. Arvin does show up and says, like, hey, you can't do anything to me for being naughty. Hey, Alma! I'm on the
Pew! He runs off. And the abbot goes to Tansy. He's like, hey, do you want to go out and gather some herbs with me? I mean, it went so well for you last time.
No, I'm good.
Tansy's like, no, it's fine. You should take Viola. I feel sorry for her. This way we can be friends, which we find out that the night before Viola got freaked out by Arvin, goes to sleep in the infirmary, and then accidentally gets force-fed the nettle broth.
Yeah.
Which, okay, now I feel sorry for Viola.
Yeah.
I don't.
Oh.
And
I'm sorry. I hate her. She is not a fun character.
oh.
And when we see her in the next book, she doesn't get better. Okay, she gets better, but not that much better.
I was gonna say, I mean, she has her moments. She's not my favorite either, to be fair, but she does have her moments.
Well,
Yeah.
she's not going to Hulk out like Cynthia did in the cartoon.
No.
No, we get a different character that hulks out during this section of the book.
Yeah, we're going to
We'll
get
get
to that.
there. But so she even says, like, why don't you take Viola? I want us to be friends. In the back of her mind, she's also thinking, I want to focus on the mystery.
Yep.
Gee, gang, we found our first clue.
Yeah.
And yeah, they open wrap the paper that was in the clamshell, and it's like, oh, from Old World, another riddle. How many of these are going to be? Oh.
6.
Or 7.
Oh,
Possibly.
yeah. And we get to see Skipper up on the walls, and Romska shows up.
Oh, but yeah, there's the Skipper. I have to comment on this. Pretty much, Redwall has its own holt of otters, and it's never called as much, but pretty much since the original book, like, there's always a crew of otters in residence.
Well, it doesn't say that they actually live there, though. It just says that they're kind of in the area.
I think they called on them to help out for security.
Yeah, because I think it says specifically when Romska's talking about the weasel, that lived here has pearls, and Skipper's like, Skipper wasn't from there. He didn't know the goings on, and he was tired of this ferret or something like that. He's just like, I don't know what you're talking about. Go away.
Yep. Yeah, he honestly didn't know.
Well,
and,
okay, point withdrawn.
Yep. And I do like it too, because like Romska tells Lask, like, look, I'm gonna go try this. And Lask goes, why? I can just go up there. Dude, they're gonna just freak the heck out when they see you and just throw spears at your face, hoping you to die. Like, let me try this first.
Yes, and I do appreciate the fact that she doesn't underestimate the Redwallers like a lot of the villains. She doesn't go, oh, we can intimidate these country bumpkins. She's just like, yeah, they're gonna fight.
Yep. And she does try like a little bit of smooth talking with Skipper and does insult him a little bit. But then after he slings a rock into the tree right next to her head, she's like, okay,
Yeah.
down to business. And Teasel lets it slip that Grey Lunk was there. And she's like, oh, they found his bones out in the forest. Now beat it. And Skipper just goes,
You can see him. You
told
can see him
that."
face palming. Like,
Yeah.
oh.
Well, again, like Skipper is used to dealing with people like that, and Teasel isn't. And I think she was just trying to help and like get Romska to leave. But yeah, maybe you should have passed around the notice to everybody saying, "Don't tell anyone Grey Lunk was here."
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, Teasel didn't get the memo.
No. How do you think the story would have changed, though, if Skipper had done just a 100% preemptive strike on Romska the instant she made her presence known, like rock into the skull? And when she doesn't come back, Lask Frilder investigates, finds that, oh, there's her corpse. I guess they aren't messing around.
Well, crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would have made the story a lot less fun. I gotta say that.
It would have turned into yet another Redwall siege story, I think.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, in the kitchens, they are using Fairmold's first riddle, and they look around the kitchen, and Klecky, on accident, knocks over a giant candle, and part of it breaks open, and there's the first pearl.
Woo!
Da, 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 da.
Yep. And a nice little touch here, and it's something that keeps happening. Tansy is more focused on finding the next clue than focusing on the pearl itself.
Yep.
Like Rolo's like, oh, a pearl. Like everyone's kind of focusing on it. Meanwhile, she's breaking pieces of the candle wax. And like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm looking for the next clue.
Yeah.
I also have to say, like, hey, you knocked over our candle. It's like, can't you just melt it back together?
Yeah.
I was thinking that.
Yeah.
It really wouldn't that be that hard. But yeah, it's like, hey, I found the next clue. Oh man.
Yeah. And they're like, all right, we got 1 down, 5 to go.
Thanks to an impromptu Klecky Ex Machina.
Yep.
And I
I'm
like
sure
to-
we're not going to have a time limit on this.
Yeah. And meanwhile, back at San Petra, we find out yet somebody else is scheming.
The only fox in this book.
Resconza, who,
Yes.
with all his knives and everything, I'm like, okay, this dude's a Farrago fanboy.
I love that. That's my headcanon.
Never trust a knife thrower in this series. If you have a character that throws knives, don't trust them.
Yep.
Especially
Knives.
Wild
They
Ivy.
Oh, God.
Don't trust
Oh,
Wild
forgot
Ivy.
about her.
The totally canonic, definitely in the book, Redwall character, Wild Ivy.
Wild Ivy.
Yes.
Uh, but yeah,
yeah,
so
it's more than one.
Resconza is like, all the captains are on one boat. There's another ship chasing after them. I've got an idea. Oh, captains, they're waiting to ambush you. Don't worry. We'll totally help you out. Takes in like a 4-hour nap. Okay, everyone, they're slaughtering the captains. I don't know what happened.
I thought this was kind of chilling. Like he grabs some fish from someone and just kind of eats it like yum yum yum. Just waiting.
Resconza is a jerk.
Yes, he is.
But he's a very conniving jerk.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Because meanwhile, Sagittar's like, hey, well, I got you trapped. And, yeah, you see that ship over there? We're going to, for no good reason, we're going to scuttle it. Hey, isn't that a perfectly good ship? Yeah, so? But why are we scuttling it?
Funsies. Well, because if they scuttle all the other ships and just hang on to one, which honestly, all like Ublaz could just use that one ship and like, hey, now you can't leave.
Oh, that's fair.
Yep.
Because if
I'm
they all
sitting here
leave,
thinking, like-
who's going to pay him toll?
I just thought it's like, hey, guys, this is kind of a waste of a ship.
Eh.
Yeah, we got more.
And then Sagittar's like, aha, we won. Nothing can stop us now except that army that's charging at us. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Hey, Matthias, I know you need to leave soon, so did you want to do any final mentions before you have to head off?
Oh, for the upcoming bit with the second clue,
Mm-hmm.
Penny Cloud Win sounds like a folksy dance.
Yes, I can see that.
And for the final scene before the close of the book, something tells me we're about to get an encore of the Rab Muta vendetta.
Ah,
Hmm.
fair enough.
That's about it. I've
But-
enjoyed
But
the book, and oh, that's what I wanted to mention at the very beginning. I forgot to mention this.
Mhm.
The book, the Ace Fantasy paperback edition, the text is closer together than it has been for some of the other books we've covered. So it makes the text itself look a little bit smaller. And I'm guessing because the book itself is actually longer. This is 351 pages. So they're trying to stay at 350. So they probably use some editing tricks to try to make it appear as small as possible.
I was about to say, my Kindle version is 408 pages.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I did think the text looked a little weird, but I thought that was just because I'd only just read the hardcover of Castaways, which had much way larger text in comparison.
So, back with our,
Anyway,
our
that's
vermin.
about it.
Okay, sorry to interrupt. So back
Oh,
with
I'm
our
just-
vermin
I'm-
crew, Veronica
Okay,
and
Bye, Matthias.
I'm
Bye.
sorry, I keep
Cutting you
interrupting.
off.
So Veronica and Rumska have a big old hug, and why can't Veronica feel his everything?
Veronica and Resconza.
Sorry, Wisconsin. They have a big hug, and why can't Veronica feel his everything?
Oops.
I'm okay. I'm not okay. And Resconza's like, those evil trident rats, they totally killed him. I'll chase after their leader. And yeah, he chases down Sagittar. Like, she has a good lead on him, and she looks back and like, oh God, he's catching up.
Yep.
And then she does the. Oh, it's funny
I
because
gotta get in shape.
well, it's like we're near Halloween. She literally trips over nothing, and
Yep.
trips and falls. And Ruskan's just like, I got a message for you to take back to your boss.
Okay.
Can I pick up my dignity on the way back? No.
Okay. And Ublas takes it well.
Yeah.
No, he actually does.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, I might be able to deal with this fox, but yeah, you fail me again, you're going to be in trouble there.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay.
Yeah. She's like, I won't fail you again. You better not. Meanwhile, Durrell and Viola have now been captured by the evil lizards.
Huh. We've been
And
captured by a random crew of lizards that, yeah, maybe I should have taken extra people with me into the forest to guard against this scenario.
yeah. Well, they didn't know.
No, they didn't.
Yeah. And to his credit, Durrell is really brave. Like, he's just,
He's calm.
he's tied to a tree. He's got these flesh-eating lizards surrounding him. He's like, who are you and what do you want with me? Like, he's constantly putting on this brave face for Viola, too.
Mhm.
Like, I really like Durrell. It's like a nice return to form for a really good Abbot.
Yeah.
Oh, and before all this, sorry, the Gustin basically give 2 bags of food to Graf and say, "Hey, you go have fun on your murder spree."
Yep. And
Have
she made
fun
friends
storming
with
the castle.
she made friends with a lot of them, and she like bonded with some of the younger ones, like because she made like a magic trick with her bow and arrows and all that.
But yes,
And,
now Abadrol's like, "Huh, well, crap. Parlay?"
yeah.
Yeah.
And Last Frilder is threatening him, and Viola, trying to be brave, is like, he's the Father Abbot. And, so you're the Father Abbot. That's good to know.
Oh crap.
Yeah.
And at first, Durrell's like, you really shouldn't have said that. But then he immediately like checks himself and is like, you know what? You don't know anything about this. You're young. Don't beat yourself up over it.
I've doomed us. Oh, come on. I'm sure
doomed.
you're not the first.
Doomed.
You're not the first bank bull to be in a bad position.
Yeah.
At least you didn't turn on me and try to double deal under the table.
I thought you were referring to Cynthia. Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, Cynthia, that's it. A lot of bulls suck, don't they? Yep. And meanwhile, the others are like, we need to try and figure out like this weird puzzle, which is saying like what letters to figure out which. I mean, I think the first time I read this, I just got confused. Like, I don't know what the answer is. I'm just going to wait for the book to tell me.
I admit, I didn't know. Way long ago when I first read this, I was just like, huh? And when I came back to this as an adult, and I'm like, it's Beryl, but I know that from reading the book.
Yeah. If people are wondering, they're looking for a word. It says, my first is in blood and also in battle. My second in acorn, oak, and apple. My third and fourth are both the same, in the center of sorrow and twice in refrain. My fifth starts eternity, ending here. My last is the first of the last. Oh dear, if I told you the answer, then you would know.
And meanwhile, this Gonf is like, humph, I could do better.
Gonf is jealous. It's like,
And-
my riddle would have been so much better, but you're not going to hear it now.
And is this where Picnum and Crackling kind of come into the picture?
Yep. And
It
there's
takes them,
like
2 seconds.
oh,
Yeah.
we know what this is, but we're not going to tell you. Why?
Yeah. And then Rollo's like, you better tell us, or we're going to have Alma throw you in the pond. Like, it's
Well,
Beryl.
Oh, it won't be Alma in the pond. We're going to get Sister Cicely to feed you.
Oh,
Beryl!
yeah.
Beryl!
Yeah.
For the love of God, Beryl! And so they're like, all right, let's go down to the cellars where we find another descendant of the Stump family.
Yep.
And
And to their credit, Brian actually writes a pretty informative section here that isn't exposition. It actually informs, like, hey, this is the name for all the different barrel sizes.
Yeah, this is really cool.
Furlow's just like, I don't know what this riddle means, but yeah, they were probably looking for some kind of barrel. Just
Yep.
not sure.
And they say it was made in the winter of coldest snow? Deepest snow.
Yeah.
And they mention Ambrose Spike and Tim Churchmouse.
Ah.
I like
nice bit
I
of
like those.
continuity.
Yeah, I like those little just like comments to characters that we saw in like a previous book, where instead of just like Fairmold, you know, she's created just for this book and she's driving everything, but it would have been kind of nice if maybe he could have found a character from Madame Mayo or afterwards that could have been used. But like with this one, like, oh, Ambrose Spike made it and Tim Churchhouse was the previous recorder. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I like this stuff and I like the little connections to each book.
So we're also told how he makes this particular wine. It's rhubarb wine, made with honey. And,
Sounds good.
Yep. And he says he's like, it's gonna take 2 seasons to brew. So,
And then everyone forgets about it.
Yep.
He calls it the cup of cheer, and that's where the pearl is.
Yep.
Wait,
and
you put a pink pearl in pink wine? Oh.
it's a little on the nose. And then again, Tansy is more interested in the next clue than the pearl itself.
Oh, they tap. I love this. They tap the wine, and Rolo takes a small sip of it, and he's like, we need this upstairs for medicinal reasons. Yeah.
Yes. Medicinal.
I'm pretty sure anything at this point is preferable to the warm nettle broth. It's like, well, if we can't get people better, might as well get them drunk.
Oh god. Oh hey, it's the pearl.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Martin is told like, hey, by the way, there's some bad stuff going on outside. So
the Abbot's missing. So
Yep. So they're like, maybe he's fine, though there's some pirates out there. And Martin, Alma, and Skipper go up to the walls, and there's Lask, and all three of them are like, oh dear God, what is that thing?
Hi guys.
Put a blanket over that. You're scaring the children.
Right.
Oh, hi, Red Ball.
Yep. And then Martin just immediately like, okay, I'm going to play this straight. Hey, who are you? What do you want? Like, he doesn't show any fear.
So,
like, even Skipper is like, ew, that thing is freaky. And Martin's like, no,
Yeah.
I'm going to play this straight. And then when Lask mentions like, oh, we have prisoners, Martin's like, okay. No. Let me just make sure, because he wants to make sure they're not bluffing. And then when Lask gives them the information, Martin smash.
To the fact that Alma has to use almost all her strength to hold him back.
Yep.
Huh.
I can't remember if we were recording when they said this or not, but I feel like if this was Constance, she would have just picked up Martin, leapt off, and the two of them would have tackled Lash to the ground and then beaten him to death. And then the two of them just would have charged off, as Matthias put it, Rab and Muta style.
Right.
And yeah, but Blast does manage to prove he has them because he has their sandals and the Abbot's glasses.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
smashed glasses, which is kind of sad. Like, aw.
oh, and he doesn't tell the Abbey Dolores this, but he sends Romska back to the ship with the prisoners because that's tactically smart. You don't want one of your Abbey or warrior walking out and rescuing them with the aid of a random hare that just shows up.
Yeah.
And we also show that his Lask sends Romska says, oh, I'll just take my crew back to the ship. And Lask goes, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm keeping half your crew here. You're taking 5 of my lizards, which I know they're total, it still leaves both sides totally outnumbered, but I don't trust you. You don't trust me. And Romska's like, all right, fine. I'll take your lizards back to the ship where I'm sure they'll have a fun old time.
Yep.
And this leaves book 1 on a cliffhanger with
Oh, the third tier riddle. Because now we have a time limit.
Yep. And Martin's like, you're gonna have to step it up trying to find those. I think bad stuff is happening. And then afterwards, Alma's like, have you seen Martin and Skipper? They're like, no. Well,
Oh,
have you found any more of those pearls? Like 4 more? No, not yet. Yeah, could you get working on that?
Yeah.
oh dear. And that ends book 1.
Yep.
So, yeah, we have a good story here. We really do. And as we already mentioned, we have more to do with the villains than we do with Redwall.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Lots of villain drama. Much drama.
I'm sure Ublaz and the rebel captains can work this out peacefully, right?
Yeah, sit down with HR, some sort of mediator. Get going on that.
Clarify how you spell peace in that, and
Yeah.
Because if you mean that by Ublaz wants to fill the ocean with pieces of the pirates, then yeah, sure, it'll be very peaceful.
Hey, wait a
And
minute.
Rasponza wants to carve pieces off people with all of his knives, then
Yeah, I think you're right, Jeremy. He's definitely a Parago fanboy.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Lask and Rumska can totally handle angry Redwallers.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, this is definitely. I'm glad we're back to form here. Before we wanted to definitely get through this book before we ended the year. So
Yes. I am glad. I am very happy to be back with the Redwall books.
Yep. Me
It's
too.
nice to take breaks to do the cartoon or a food episode or whatever, but this is the whole reason why we're doing this.
Yep.
So,
And this was definitely the longest break we've taken in between books.
yeah, I mean, we were covering mostly Redwall related material.
Yeah.
Mostly. Castaways was fun, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, we were also covering Redwall material that we've covered before, and in the case of the graphic novel, we had already covered the book and the cartoon, so that was the 3rd time we are covering the same story.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't as good.
I think we went about that already.
Yep. But yeah, no, I am looking forward to book 2 of Pearls of Lutra.
Can they find more of these pearls without angrily cursing Firmold's name?
Maybe.
Yeah.
And we already kind of made our Ublaz settling things peacefully joke. He does it. So.
Spoilers.
Well, should I tell people where they can find us online?
Please.
All right. You could find us at recorderonthewall.com. We are on Apple Podcasts or iTunes Podcasts, whatever it's called right now. We are on Google Podcasts. We are featured on the Ulelia subreddit. We are featured on the official Redwall forums because we are awesome. And we also have our own, we have an RSS feed on the site. I don't think we've ever plugged that before. And we also have a Twitter account at ROTWpod, which is also our email address, rotwpod@gmail.com. So send us emails through there and send us feedback on Twitter that Pete will read because I don't understand how to use Twitter. No, seriously, it took that one tweet that I sent out once took me 10 minutes to figure out how to do.
Yeah, I tend to like using our Twitter. I like to retweet cool fan art or interact with other Redwall fans or even other fandom podcasts. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. All right, folks. Well, I'm Pete.
I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Katie.
And we already lost Matthias, but
Yep.
All right, you folks have a good time.
Happy whatever date you're reading this or
Happy
hearing
November.
this. I'm brain dead today.
All right.